There's something about the city. Noisy, yes, chaotic, oh, you bet. But it's mine. My paws know these streets like they know the feel of fresh kibble in my mouth. I'm Frank, a bulldog of discerning taste and limited patience, especially with these humans who rush by like they have a bone to catch, but rarely stop to smell the hydrants. Manhattan's my home, but if you ask me if I actually belong here, well, that's another story. I prefer my own rhythm, not their frantic hum of buzzes and footsteps. Today my human, let's call him the tall one, is in one of his usual hurries, pulling me along down Fifth Avenue like he's got an appointment with the mayor himself. Typical. The tall one doesn't understand the finer points of walking at a dignified pace, but I tolerate it. I've got my own tricks for slowing things down. A quick sniff at the pretzel stand, a sudden fascination with a patch of dirt. That'll keep him guessing. He grumbles, but he's wrapped around my paw, really. They all are. What can I say? I'm irresistible. But beneath this proud stance, I sometimes wonder what it's all for. All these faces rushing by, so many voices shouting, honking, talking. No one seems to see each other, and sometimes I think they don't see me. But that's okay. I see myself just fine, thank you very much. And if no one else notices a bulldog with a flawless coat and sturdy stance holding court on Fifth Avenue, well, that's their loss. I'm a king, standing solo in a crowd. Alone, but strong. If there's one thing I pride myself on, it's my ability to be unmoved. Literally. The humans, in their frantic hustle, always seem to think they can drag me along on their timetable. But not today. Today I decide we're taking a leisurely stroll through the city. The tall one tugs on my leash, but I plant my paws firmly. It's a simple rule. You want to move me, you'd better have something worth moving for. And that coffee shop we just passed smelled like burnt beans and disappointment, so I stay put, glancing up with my best unimpressed stare. The tall one sighs. He knows it's useless. He tried once to trick me with treats, waving some sad little biscuit in front of my nose. But I know the difference between a treat worth moving for and something that belongs in the trash. I'm stubborn, sure, but that's just part of my bulldog charm. I'll admit it. There's something delightful about forcing the world to slow down to my pace. People weave around me, muttering under their breath, and I give them my best take a number look. They're in a hurry to go where? I couldn't care less. I'm here, solid as a rock, and I'll move when I'm ready. Every now and then I get a real looker, someone who actually stops to see me. A lady in bright pink heels coos at me, her friend taking a photo as if I'm some kind of celebrity. Well, they're not wrong. I pose, one ear tilted just so, gazing off into the distance like I'm contemplating life. They love it. Humans adore an enigma, and I'm practically a philosopher in fur. The tall one groans, knowing full well that this will only inflate my ego. Too late, buddy. I was born a star, so I take my time. After all, these streets are filled with stories, and I intend to sniff out every single one. The scent of hot dogs, distant and tantalizing, mingles with the sour stench of exhaust and something I'd rather not identify. And yet somehow it all feels like home. I'm alone here, sure, but I'm not lonely. This city is mine, every whiff and whisper of it. Now, if you've ever walked the streets of Manhattan, you know it's not just humans in the crowd. No, this city's got its own breed of menace. Pigeons. To most, they're just rats with wings. But to me, they're a daily insult, a flying nuisance that reminds me the world is a messy, unpredictable place. And just my luck, today I found myself right in the middle of a pack of them. They stare me down, strutting around like they own the sidewalk. One even has the audacity to peck near my paw. Oh, you don't know who you're messing with, buddy. I let out a low growl, enough to make them flutter up, though not quite far enough. It's a power play, see? I make them move first, just to let them know I'm the alpha on this concrete jungle. They're just lucky I'm on a leash. Or maybe it's me who's lucky. The tall one would be in for quite the chase if I ever decided to follow through on my instincts. The tall one, oblivious as ever, is busy on his phone. Typical. But me? I'm in full standoff mode. One of the pigeons, a scrappy one with a patch of feathers missing, glares at me like he's challenging my authority. I roll my eyes as only a bulldog can and snort. "Look, pal," I mutter to myself. "You can strut and peck all you want, but at the end of the day, I'm the one with a roof and kibble." There's something strangely amusing about these little encounters. It's as if every creature in this city, big or small, has a bit of attitude. The pigeons don't cower. They stare right back. I respect that in a way. They're out here, hustling for crumbs in the same rush as the humans. And in that moment, I feel a weird connection to them. After all, we're all just trying to make it in the city, finding our own crumbs to call victories. But don't get me wrong, I'm not about to go soft on them. I lunge just a little for effect, and they scatter, feathers flying. Victory is mine. Alone, yes, but standing proud. The tall one finally looks up, startled by the commotion, and sighs as if to say, "Really, Frank?" I give him a smug grin. He should know better by now. The streets of Manhattan are my kingdom, and I rule with a firm paw. Just when I think this day can't get any better, I catch a scent wafting through the air, meaty, salty, undeniably delicious. The smell is coming from a hot dog vendor down the block. The tall one, ever predictable, isn't paying attention, which is exactly the window I need. I tug on the leash, inching us closer. Patience, Frank, I tell myself. This is a game of strategy. We make our way to the stand, and there it is, a glorious hot dog in the hands of some stranger. Now this is a person of taste, someone who understands the finer things in life. The man glances down at me, probably noticing the undeniable longing in my eyes. I mean, who could resist? I'm adorable after all. He hesitates, looking from his hot dog to me, as if he's genuinely considering sharing. The tall one finally catches on. "Frank, no begging," he mutters, trying to pull me away. I dig in my paws. Does he not understand the gravity of the situation? This is no ordinary snack. This is prime Manhattan street meat. The stranger chuckles, clearly amused, and he gives me a little nod, a silent acknowledgement of our shared appreciation for food. Just as he's about to break off a piece for me, the tall one tugs harder, pulling me back. I let out a dramatic huff, giving my best betrayed look. The stranger shrugs apologetically as he walks away, but not before giving me a wink. I stare after him, my heart heavy with the loss. That hot dog and I could have had a moment, one of those rare, perfect Manhattan moments you only dream about. Instead, I'm left with kibble at home and the memory of what might have been. As we walk away, I can't help but feel a pang of frustration. This city is filled with opportunities, if only the humans could recognize them. A bulldog like me deserves the finer things, and here I am, denied by my own human. Still, I've learned one thing. In Manhattan, you have to savor the small victories. And even though I didn't get the hot dog, I'll always have the scent of it, lingering in the air, a reminder that sometimes the chase is just as sweet as the prize. There's something peculiar about this stretch of sidewalk. Every time we walk by, I catch a glimpse of someone incredibly handsome. I mean, truly striking. Square jaw, solid stance, deep, soulful eyes. It's hard to look away. Today is no different. I stop and stare, meeting the gaze of the figure reflected in a large glass window, and for a moment, the bustling sounds of the city fade into the background. It's just me and, well, me. I lean in closer, tilting my head slightly, studying every inch of that rugged face. The tall one stops, noticing my fixation on the window. He laughs. "Frank, that's you, buddy." He says it like it's no big deal, but it is. There's something profound in seeing yourself, truly seeing yourself, amid the chaotic whirl of Manhattan. I give myself a nod of approval. If no one else recognizes my charm, at least my reflection does. But here's the thing about being a bulldog in this city. Every now and then, you need a reality check. As I stare, the reflection does the same, and for a split second, I question if I'm the only one who feels this strange isolation amidst the crowd. I mean, think about it. I'm a bulldog on a leash, dependent on this tall one to guide me through a world I only half understand. I huff at the thought. a little wave of melancholy washing over me, but I shake it off. No time for self-pity, not in a city like this. The figure in the glass stands firm, just as I do. And if he's alone in the crowd, well, so am I. But we're strong, stronger than the city, stronger than the rushing people and screeching cabs. I take a final glance, a silent affirmation of my own resilience, and turn away, trotting forward with newfound pride. The tall one rolls his eyes, muttering something about too much self-confidence. He doesn't get it, but that's all right. He doesn't have to. I know who I am, and that's more than enough. As we continue down the street, I spot something unusual. A little mop of fur, bouncing along with the energy of a firecracker. It's a scruffy, wiry terrier, barely half my size, but brimming with a kind of unrestrained enthusiasm that I'm almost envious of. She zigzags around, sniffing every patch of sidewalk, greeting every human and dog with equal excitement. To say she's the complete opposite of me would be an understatement. She notices me staring and trots right over, tail wagging like she's just found her long-lost friend. "Hey there, big guy. Name's Lola," she says, her voice practically buzzing with energy. I give her a slow nod, as dignified as I can manage. "Frank," I respond, keeping it brief. I'm not exactly known for my small talk. Lola circles me, sizing me up. "You're a strong, silent type, huh?" That's cool. That's cool. She's not wrong, but something about her friendliness catches me off guard. In a city where everyone's always on the move, it's rare to meet anyone who wants to linger, who's genuinely curious. I realize that maybe, just maybe, I don't mind the company. We walk side by side for a bit, her bouncing energy contrasting with my steady, plodding pace. She tells me all about her life uptown, about her owner who dresses her in tiny sweaters and feeds her bits of smoked salmon. Fancy life, I think, but I keep my sarcasm in check. I nod along, even managing a chuckle when she shares a story about sneaking a bite of pizza from a distracted tourist. I guess I've got to admit, it's nice to have a friend. After a while, Lola and her owner turn a corner and she gives me a quick, "See you around, Frank," before disappearing into the crowd. I watch her go, a bit of her cheerfulness lingering behind. Who knew a bulldog like me could make friends in a city as vast and detached as this one? I feel a strange warmth in my chest, like maybe, just maybe, I'm not as alone here as I sometimes feel. Sure, I'm still a bulldog on a mission, and the streets of Manhattan are still mine to roam. But now, I think, I might keep an eye out for Lola. You never know when a friendly face might cross your path again in this big, lonely city. The sky darkens, and I know what's coming. I've been around long enough to recognize the smell of rain even before the first drop hits the pavement. The tall one groans as he glances at the gathering clouds, but I brace myself, standing tall. A little water never hurt anyone. At least that's what I tell myself until the downpour starts. The rain begins as a drizzle, but quickly escalates into a full-blown storm, with raindrops the size of kibble pelting us from above. People scramble, ducking under umbrellas or huddling in doorways, but we bulldogs are made of tougher stuff. I keep moving forward, my coat soaking up every drop, my paws splashing through puddles. The tall one pulls up the hood on his jacket, muttering under his breath about terrible timing and soaked shoes, but I pay him no mind. This is my city, rain or shine, and I walk these streets with purpose. With each step, I feel a little lighter, like the rain is washing away whatever stress I didn't even know I had. It's just me and the city, stripped bare under the gray sky. The usual cacophony of honks and chatter fades into a muted hum, and all I hear is the steady rhythm of raindrops on the pavement. I can't help but feel a strange calm settle over me, a quiet moment in a city that never truly sleeps. A few brave souls stop to stare, some even chuckling at the sight of me trudging through the rain with that signature bulldog determination. They don't get it, but I'm used to that. This rain, this storm, it's a reminder that life isn't always easy, but I'm tougher than any downpour. The streets may be crowded, but moments like this remind me I'm still my own dog, strong and unwavering. We finally duck into a small alcove, both of us dripping and a bit bedraggled. The tall one grumbles about the mess I'm about to make in his apartment, but I just shake off, sending droplets everywhere. He sighs, wiping his face with resignation. "Frank, you're impossible," he says, but I catch the hint of a smile. Even he knows that nothing can shake me. Not a crowd, not a storm, not even a city like Manhattan. By the time we get home, I'm soaked to the bone, and the tall one isn't much better off. As he fumbles with the keys, I shake off the last of the rain, splattering water across the entryway. He lets out a groan, but I know he secretly expected it. I'm a bulldog, not a mop. The door finally opens, and the familiar warmth of home envelops us. This place may not be as grand as the Manhattan streets, but it's ours. The tall one drops his keys on the counter, giving me a look that's equal parts exasperation and affection. I trot over to my spot by the couch, plop down with a heavy sigh, and let the coziness of our little sanctuary sink in. As he towels me off, I look up at him, feeling a pang of gratitude I can't quite put into words. Sure, he's got his flaws. He's slow, doesn't understand the finer points of sniffing, and he doesn't always get why I need to stand my ground in front of pigeons. But he's my tall one, and for all his quirks, I wouldn't trade him for anything. The city outside is still humming, but in here, it's just us. I watch him move around, making himself a cup of coffee, setting out my bowl of food. There's something comforting about these small routines, the little habits that anchor us amidst the chaos of Manhattan. Maybe I'm not so alone after all. After he finishes, he settles down on the couch with a sigh, scrolling through his phone as if he's the one who had a long day. I hop up beside him, leaning my head on his lap. He gives me a scratch behind the ears, and for a moment, everything is perfect. Just a dog and his human, finding shelter from the world together. As the evening settles in, I find myself lying by the window, watching the city lights flicker on one by one. From up here, the streets look different, quieter, almost calm. I let out a sigh, feeling the weight of the day sink into my bones. It's been a long one, filled with pigeons, unexpected friends, and even a rainstorm. A day in the life of a bulldog in Manhattan is no small feat, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I think back to Lola, the scrappy little terrier with boundless energy, and I wonder if she's somewhere uptown, looking out at these same lights. Maybe she's curled up on a fancy dog bed, dreaming about another slice of stolen pizza. It's funny. I'd never really thought about having a friend before, but now I can't help but feel a bit of warmth knowing there's someone else out there who knows what it's like to navigate these streets. And then there's the tall one. He may not understand every quirk of mine, but he's steady, always there with a scratch behind the ears or a bowl of kibble after a long day. I glance over at him, still scrolling on his phone, oblivious to the fact that I'm reflecting on the world in a way only a bulldog can. He looks up and catches me staring, raising an eyebrow. "What's on your mind, Frank?" he asks with a chuckle. If only he knew. I've seen more of this city from knee height than he ever could from his skyscrapers and subways. I know its sounds, its smells, its chaos, and its quiet moments. I may be just one dog in a crowd, but I carry the heart of a lion, the resilience of a New Yorker, and the quiet strength to face whatever comes next. As the night deepens, I close my eyes, letting the sounds of the city fade into a gentle hum. Tomorrow, we'll be back on the streets, navigating our way through crowds and pigeons, with me leading the way. Alone in the crowd, but never lonely. Not as long as I have my tall one in my city. Morning comes with the first light creeping through the blinds, casting a soft glow across the room. I stretch out, feeling the pull in my muscles, and take a deep breath of the new day. The tall one is still asleep, sprawled out in his usual haphazard way, but I'm up and ready. There's a whole world waiting outside, my world, with all its bustling, noisy, unpredictable glory. When he finally stirs, I'm already at the door, giving him my best time-to-get-moving look. He laughs, rubbing the sleep from his eyes, muttering something about another adventure with Frank. That's right, I think. Today's going to be another chapter in the life of this bulldog, and I'm ready for it. We head out into the early morning streets, and it's as if the city has softened in those first moments of the day. The usual buzz of traffic hasn't quite picked up, and the sidewalks are still relatively empty. I feel a quiet anticipation, that sense of possibility that only comes with a new day. Who knows what I'll encounter today? Maybe another pigeon standoff, maybe a hot dog vendor, maybe even another unexpected friend. The tall one glances down at me, a faint smile playing on his face. "Another day in the Big Apple, huh, Frank?" he says, giving me a scratch behind the ears. I respond with a snort and a wag of my tail, my own quiet way of saying, "Bring it on." I faced down crowds, survived rainstorms, made a friend, and even found my own kind of peace amidst the chaos. I may be one dog among millions, but in this moment, I feel like I own the city. As we continue our walk, I look up at the towering buildings and the brightening sky, and I feel a deep contentment. This city is my home, and as long as I'm here, I'll face each day with the same pride and strength that have carried me this far. Alone in the crowd, yet strong. Because that's who I am. I'm Frank, a bulldog in Manhattan, and I wouldn't have it any other way.